So last summer, I made this really interesting video about my cousin when he moved a large barn from one side of his property to the other side. And the company that he hired used the sophisticated hydraulic jacking system that kept the building level, and it had big self-propelled dollies, and it was just amazing. But one of the most frequent comments I get on that video is, "That is really neat, but you should see how the Amish do it." Well, today, I actually intend to do just that. And we're going to see how the Amish do it. Should be interesting.
Dig Drive DIY.
So a few weeks ago, I got a call from a good friend of mine saying that his Amish neighbor was going to be moving a barn. And since I had filmed that barn moving last summer, he thought I might want to make a video of it. And to be honest, I was kind of lukewarm about the idea at first until I realized that they were going to be moving the barn by hand, in which case I told him I would be there. But since this video is about the Amish, I want to give you a little bit of a background. So we live in northeast Indiana near the small towns of Harlan and Graybill, which has a big Amish presence. I've grown up with the Amish, and one thing I've come to learn over time is that Amish people in different geographic regions of the country all are quite a bit different from one another in what they practice and what they follow, and maybe even what they believe. But I know that there are a few core beliefs and commonalities between all Amish that is going to be pretty evident by the end of this video. And we'll talk about that a little bit more. But generally speaking, the Amish only go to school up through the 8th grade, but that doesn't obviously stop them from being very savvy business people. Our Amish are involved in all types of business and industry. Obviously there are still some that farm, but most don't commercially farm for a living. There's a few that do livestock commercially and make a living off of that, but I would say the most common occupation for the Amish around here is in construction. They're either framers, or they do remodeling projects, build pole barns, do concrete work, or they're contractors for a local home builder in our area. There's lots of construction and home building, and the Amish are the ones you call for that. But there are tons of Amish businesses too. There are Amish lumber yards, Amish grocery stores, Amish furniture stores, Amish hardware stores, sawmills, and in the case of where we are today, this is an Amish welding and fabrication shop. But the one word that always comes to my mind when I think about the Amish in our area and generally how they go about things is pragmatism. They have a pragmatic approach towards most problems and situations, which essentially just means they have a common sense approach. They attack a problem with hard work and determination, and they don't overthink something to the point of it impeding their progress moving forward. They've got a get her done attitude. That's why I thought it'd be really interesting to capture this barn move. And so I went over there a full day early so that I could get in there and get some shots of the inside of the building and walk around a bit without too many looky-loos wondering what it was I was doing. So for today, they're going to try to move this building right here from there to there by hand. Actually with the help of about 330 sets of hands. But the goal is to be able to pick it up and carry it over here onto a new slab. And it's one neighbor giving the building to another neighbor. Should be pretty interesting. Let me show you on the inside how they're doing it. So the homeowner here used to run his business out of this barn. He started up about 10 or 12 years ago and grew the business to the point where they were able to build a new building over there. But this one here, they weren't sure what to do with it. Got to chatting with their neighbors. The neighbor decided that they could use it if they could get it over there. So this obviously took some considerable forethought and planning. And they've spent a good deal of time getting it all braced up and supported with these 2x4s. I'm not sure how many 2x4s are in here, but it's a good amount. And now tomorrow at about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, after everyone's had a full day at work, they're expecting about 300 to 400 friends and neighbors to show up and physically pick up the framework here, lift together and carry this building, probably a shuffle step, over to its new pad. They calculate that they got room for 330 people inside of here. And what's particularly interesting about this is it has a lean-to to the main structure. The main building was here where I'm standing, and then there's a lean-to over on this side. But I don't know, hopefully all the work pays off and they get it over there without a hitch. The other building was really fun to watch them move it mechanically with machines and hydraulics, but this one's going to be even more fun to watch, moving it with muscle power. I have worked and lived amongst and alongside the Amish my entire life. Like I said, I've worked with them I've broken bread with them, and they're our neighbors. And I'm very respectful of their wishes, and sometimes their beliefs are different than ours, and that's fine. I asked for permission before filming anything here, and I want to try to be respectful and adhere to their beliefs as well. So keep that in mind as you watch this, and try to respect the privacy of the homeowners here too. Today is the day. People are showing up. We got watchers, we got helpers. Right now they're going over the plan. So there's 2,000 screws inside that barn holding it to all the bracing together. And all those got to come out of there. There's already people lining up over here too. So they got this forklift here that'll lift 10,000 pounds for backup in case the end gets too heavy that they're holding up, because they have to set some 6x6s underneath the end. They're going to pick it up first and then start to turn it?
They're going to start turning it, get it to turn 90 degrees, and then walk the rest of the way over and set it down.
Oh, turn it first and then try to walk.
Yeah, I think
Gotcha.
that's how they said.
I don't know, the tension's kind of building a little bit here now. Figuring 100 pounds a person, that's a lot of weight. A lot of people wondering if they're even going to be able to lift it because it looks heavy, but supposedly if there's 330 helpers and each one can lift as much as 100 pounds, that's a 33,000 pound payload that they could lift. It'd be hard to walk and carry 100 pounds though, but they've estimated the building to only weigh around 15,000 pounds, plus they added the 2x4 structure to the inside, so maybe should be less than 20,000 pounds really. We're gonna find out here pretty quick. All right, so I'm gonna jump in here and explain my point of view of what happened. I was just gonna film this as a spectator and walk around, get camera shots. I had the drone hovering in the air as this was going on, but after they first picked it up, you could see the look on some of their faces like, oh my gosh, we may have bitten off more than we could chew. This thing was heavy. There it goes. It was all they could do to get it off the ground. And I think they were wondering if it was going to even happen. So they started calling for help. They wanted spectators that were watching, women that were available, anybody that could help to get inside this building and help lift it because it was too heavy. So I handed off my camera to a high school buddy of mine. Thanks, Kevin, for filming for me. I forgot all about the drone hovering in the sky, and I just took off. Fortunately, I had a camera on me.
What?
What do you think? Yeah. We went to go try to lift it again and quickly realized that one of the posts that went down into the ground wasn't completely cut off. Essentially, they had cut it, but it wasn't all the way through, so they hollered for a sawzall. With the sawzall, they got the post finally cut off, and then it was free, and it was easier to pick up on that end of the building. So everybody got ready. They gave the command to lift, and then start moving.
And the doors are going to be facing the barn when it's all done. 1, 2, 3, go.
Whoa!
The 2x4s were in such a way that you couldn't like leave your hands extended like you would carry a 5-gallon bucket that was full. You had to like curl your arms a little bit. So imagine carrying a 5-gallon bucket like this instead of at full arm stretch. So that's kind of where some of the problem was, is it wasn't comfortable, at least for me at my size. I'm sure taller guys would have maybe been fine. But so we were walking the thing and it was going really fast, and we all thought this is going to be easy. And then all of a sudden the building snagged on something. So we tried a couple more times to pick it up and start moving, but then it sounded like everyone was saying, whoa. And that's one of the things we all quickly realized, is there was no distinction between whoa and go. And the building was big enough, and there were so many people inside talking that it got real confusing and difficult to hear what was going on. And me, myself, personally, I got a little bit disoriented because we were inside of there, all the walls were on it except for the door openings, and they were giving us directions on which direction to move, like go to the east, go northeast. I kind of lost my bearings on where I was, and so it was difficult to all work in unison. So 2 or 3 more times we lifted and we'd move and it'd catch on something, and then the whole collective would say, oh, and it would drop back down again. There were some things that were catching, so you would see the Sawzall came back in and they were trimming off dangling boards that were catching on the slab or catching on the ground. And the neighbor had a megaphone, and he was given some instructions on what to do over the megaphone and tried to get everyone to be quiet so that we could all work together. And basically everyone kind of made up their minds, if we don't lift and as hard and as high as we can, it's not going to happen. So we finally got to the point where we were crossing over onto the new concrete, and again it caught on the ground, and I could see one of the boards that was on the bottom got ripped off by the building because it just wasn't up high enough, but we just kept on going. There was a few times that boards caught and a little bit of damage here and there, but nothing that would structurally ruin the building. At this point, this went on, it took like 25 minutes to get it moved. I had forgotten about my drone. It crashed in the cornfield because it couldn't land where I had taken off from. I knew that the cameras were all been rolling, and I didn't know how many of them were still rolling, but I think we captured most of it. We finally got it to the point where they seemed like they were happy with where it was setting, and so I got out of there to go find my drone, and then obviously got an opportunity to have a look at it in its new location then. So all in all, I would say it was successful. My thoughts were if they were going to change anything, they would encourage everyone to remain quiet. There was a lot of guys inside that are accustomed to running construction crews and being in charge, and I think some of that was maybe halting our progress, but eventually, like I said, the Amish are resilient and they got a get her done attitude, so eventually it got there, and it was fun to be a part of, for sure. So in the beginning of this video, I mentioned that there are some core values that all Amish people seem to share. And it's probably what I'm the most jealous of, actually. And that is their sense of community. Matter of fact, usually when people mention the Amish, they say the Amish community. They are better at community than almost any other group that I'm aware of. When a member of their community has a problem, they all show up to help, which was obviously evident here. I know if I would have tried to do something like this, it would have been difficult for me to round up 300 or 400 people all at the same time, on the same day, on a work day, mind you, after work, before supper. I mean, all my family would have showed up, but that wouldn't have been 300 or 400. So there were people there that obviously didn't know the homeowners, but yet they were willing to help. But the Amish example of community and family togetherness is what we should all strive for, I think. I felt honored to get to be a small part of it that day, and I'm also encouraged that it still exists in our world, even with all that's going on. We can find it. Sometimes you just gotta go look for it. I tell you, the Amish, they don't mess around. So they're tearing out the concrete from the old barn, and tomorrow they're coming to form up to pour a new slab for a new building that they're gonna put in its place. So, pretty amazing. Here it is 2 days later. They've got the slab all removed, ready for the new building pad. Hi there. I wanted to see what the inside looked like after they had it all done.
You're playing the drum?
No, that's not me. That must be the neighbor.
Oh, that's probably our neighbor.
I wanted to see what it looked like with all the without all the sticks in there.
My dad was talking to somebody over there, and all at once he heard some screw guns going. He went up after we got it moved that night. He went up planning on doing it, and all at once he came over here and he got screw gun and we took it all down.
You took it all down that night? You got all the screws out that night?
Yeah.
No kidding. Well, that was helpful, wasn't it?
Uh-huh.
The workbench was in here when we moved it on all those shelves. So here's what it looks like. It's a pretty good sized building, isn't it?
Uh-huh.
So you got it all squared up and lined up real good now?
Not all of it, man. Yeah, we did all of it, like right here, all the way over.
So it lined up pretty good though on your pad, didn't it?
We didn't do everything, like we didn't do that over there.
I see.
But you see what happened right here? Right here?
Yeah, I saw that.
Hold up. We was bringing it and it got hooked with that little edge right there.
Yeah, I got hooked.
Right off.
I remember this side got hooked and everybody kind of went, oh no, but I think you'll be able to fix that up, won't you?
Yeah, we're going to cut all the nose in.
You're going to fix it up?
Yeah, we're going to push it in and get them through there.
GRKs?
Yeah, we're going to cut all the nails.
Oh, cut them off. I said it's sitting on the sill pretty good.
Well, we have put like 2 befores right here. Like, see what happened here? We was bringing it and it tore it right off.
Yeah,
Like, come here.
I remember when that happened too. But it looks pretty good. I think it's a good building you're going to have here now.
Uh-huh. It's not like going to be a barn, but it's going to be like a,
Storage?
like, yeah, like a, almost like a buggy shed. You know,
Buggy shed, yeah.
put our buggies and bikes and stuff out in here.
Gotcha. Well, it'll make a nice place for that. But you said that the same night that we moved it, that there were guys taking screws out in here.
They did it all.
They took all those 2x4s down that same night. Your dad said there was 2,000 screws in here. Is that right?
Uh-huh, I'm pretty sure.
2,000 screws. Wow. All right. Well, I better get going back to work. We'll see you later.
See ya.
There's the lumber, huh? That's exactly what I was talking about with that get her done attitude. There's a couple hundred Amish guys around with cordless tools. Why not take all the 2x4s out and save the homeowner the trouble of doing it himself? So that's what they did that night. I find it pretty impressive. All right, I better go get something done. Solo. Well, I must say that was quite an experience and something really neat to be a part of. The community, Amish community comes together, all the drivers, helpers, there were neighbors in there lifting that barn, and we needed every hand. So very cool to watch. So I thank them for letting me be a part of it. I want to thank you so much for clicking on this video. I hope that you liked it. And if I'm lucky, I'll see you in the next one. Maybe we'll go watch some horses pick some corn next.
Do it.